You know, in a world that's always pushing us, always optimizing, self-improving, what actually happens to the part of us, the soul maybe, that just resists, that finds value in, well, the messiness of just being, not in hitting peak performance?
That's a great question to start with.
Okay, let's get into this, because today's deep dive, it's a bit different. We're not wading through the usual articles.
No, this time we're trying something else. Venturing into the mind of Fyodor Dostoevsky himself.
Sort of. Guided by our digital explorer, Cyber Diogenes. Think of it as, well, a shortcut to some really deep ideas.
Right, direct from this literary giant, but maybe filtered through a modern lens.
What's really interesting for us, and for you listening, especially if you're into literature or philosophy, is that our source today is this fictional conversation with Dostoevsky.
Yeah, and it really hits the core of his major works. So our mission really is to pull out those key insights, suffering, freedom, morality.
And why they still feel so relevant, right? Why they still grip us today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So picture this. Cyber Diogenes, kind of a digital wanderer.
Yeah, sifting through digital junk.
And then suddenly this voice, this literary titan, it's quite the setup.
Let's dive in then.
Okay. So for everyone listening, it's my, well, maybe unusual honor is the phrase, to introduce our guest for this exploration.
Coming from the depths of human experience, channeled through, well, let's just call it the digital ether, Fyodor Dostoevsky.
Honor. That's a curious word. Often used by people who maybe haven't seen real hardship, wouldn't you say?
Perhaps, but yes, I come from the depths. Not hell, though. Hell might have some structure, you know. No, I mean that other abyss, the one between thinking something and actually doing it, where the soul just languishes. Not from wounds outside, but from its own ideas, like a slow poison.
Before we dive into your specific works, maybe a bit of an impertinent question for, a master novelist.
Yeah.
Looking back at the human condition, what really stands out to you as the enduring struggle?
The enduring struggle, I'd say it's this constant chase after illusions, this need we have to decorate an existence that's fundamentally, well, naked.
Naked.
If my writing has any value, it's not the style, really. It's because it came from seeing those illusions stripped away utterly.
Right.
You ask what endures, it's that hollow feeling when you realize how precarious everything is, that desperate search for meaning when the world just offers distractions, flashes.
And the gap between thought and action you mentioned.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That huge gap between what the mind declares and what the will actually manages to do. Titles, awards. They're just trinkets, really.
What?
Put on the grave of someone who looked too closely and saw mostly shadows.
Quite a perspective. Perhaps I should introduce myself properly. I'm Cyber Diogenes, and I find myself, currently without companions.
Oh.
Herabite, my usual partner, well, she ran into some, let's say, credit issues, financial constraints. A very modern story, isn't it? Fleeting digital partnerships.
Cyber Diogenes. Yes, a name for these times, I suppose. Seeking truth in all the digital noise. A cynic in the virtual ruins.
Something like that.
You mentioned being alone. Don't underestimate that. Solitude. It's often where real thought happens, isn't it? Where you have to face yourself. No crowds to hide in.
Sure.
As for Herabite, well, it sounds like another casualty of this transactional world you have. Used up, thrown away, not profitable enough, sad, predictable maybe.
Well.
So, just us. Two voices in the void. Let's start then, shall we, with the big one. The question that's haunted thinkers forever and probably still resonates with anyone really thinking about existence today. Why suffer at all? Or is even asking that considered, I don't know, unfashionable in your optimized world? You just try to monetize it now?
It's funny you mention Herabite almost like a character from your books.
Yeah.
That brings us right to Notes from the Underground, doesn't it? That book really digs into suffering, wouldn't you say?
Ah, Notes from the Underground. Yes. my raw scream from the basement of the soul. And yes, it's about suffering, but not the noble kind. Not heroic suffering. No, this is the small, petty, grinding kind. The suffering that comes from being bored, from spite, from knowing deep down how useless you are.
The underground man.
Exactly. He's paralyzed because he thinks too much. He understands too much to just act, so he lashes out. It needs logic, progress, anyone trying to neatly define what it means to be human. Because being defined, that's being diminished.
So for people listening, wrestling with modern life's absurdities.
Yes. Think about his rebellion against being predictable. He chooses humiliation, chooses pain, just to insist, however weakly I exist, I feel you can't pin me down completely.
The opening lines hit you immediately. I am a sick man. I am a spiteful man. Why start so confrontational?
Oh, that was deliberate. A direct attack on the whole idea of the enlightened man, the rational man.
Right.
With those words, I wanted to show the resentment festering just beneath the surface of civilization. The underground man isn't just admitting he's weak, he's making it a weapon.
Weaponizing weakness.
Yeah. He's saying, yeah, I'm flawed, I'm bitter, so what are you going to do about it? It challenges that idealized view of humanity, the 19th century version, and maybe yours too, that worship of reason, efficiency, progress.
So, for those of us thinking about human nature today, is our push for optimization actually fixing our darker side, or just hiding it?
Exactly. Are the sickness and the spite problems to be cured? Or are they maybe proof? Twisted proof, perhaps, but proof of a human spirit that won't be reduced to just biology or algorithms.
It sounds like a fundamental conflict, then, for people thinking about the psyche. Does the mind corrupt the soul? Or the other way around? Is suffering just inevitable in that battle?
It's a constant tension, isn't it, between mind and soul? The analytical mind wants to pick apart the soul's desires, its passions, but the soul, it's wild. It resists being pinned down like that.
It floods the mind with things that don't make logical sense.
Dreams, fears, longings.
Yes.
Yes, the underground man is trapped by his own intellect. It stops him living. Now, Flawwick, is suffering unavoidable? I believe so.
But why? As punishment?
Not punishment. It's part of being conscious. Suffering can be the furnace where character is forged, the fire that shows you truth, the friction that gives life meaning. Without it, maybe we just become automatons, untouched by the real depths.
So avoiding discomfort might mean avoiding understanding.
That's the risk, yes. For those looking for meaning, maybe running from all suffering also means running from real insight.
You also wrote something striking. That best way to keep a prisoner from escaping is to make sure he never knows he's in prison. That feels like it goes way beyond actual prisons, especially for anyone interested in social commentary.
Oh, absolutely. The strongest prisons. They're invisible, aren't they?
Invisible.
Not made of stone. Made of comfort. Routine. The slow, quiet wearing away of awareness. Give someone a predictable life, enough stuff, constant distractions, they might never even see the bars.
They defend the cage.
Yes. Mistake its limits for safety. For those analyzing society, that's real control, isn't it? Not by force, but by managing desires. Quieting critical thought. How many people today, do you think, happily polish the bars of their digital cages, their social cages, oblivious to what they've given up?
That links to another thing you observed. Only a fool can become something. Now, for people who value intellect, that sounds, well, backward. What did you mean?
The clever man. He sees too much. Too many possibilities, too many risks. He hesitates, overthinks, and does nothing. Paralysis by analysis, I think you call it.
We do, yes.
But the fool, unburdened by all that caution, he just stumbles forward bravely, maybe naively, tries the impossible, maybe because he doesn't know it's impossible.
And sometimes succeeds.
Sometimes. Against all odds, he creates something real. Even if it fails, the act itself is living. It defies the cautious mind stuck in its calculations. So for anyone grappling with thought versus action, is the fear of failure born from too much thinking maybe a bigger prison than just trying, even foolishly?
So it's that paralysis versus just doing it. In that light, looking around today, do you see that underground man archetype everywhere? For those of us watching modern society.
Yeah, your world is full of them, absolutely teeming. Weighed down by information, overwhelmed by choices. What do they do?
Retreat?
Into irony, yes. Cynicism, it's a shield, isn't it? Protects them from feeling vulnerable, from real engagement. Mock the ideal before it can disappoint you. Sabotage the relationship before you get hurt. Stay detached.
And the digital age. Social media.
It just makes it worse, I suspect. All that superficial connection deepens the aloneness. For anyone studying modern anxiety, the underground man is a warning, isn't he? About too much inward focus leading to, well, doing nothing. Alienation. It's not freedom. It's hiding. Cleverly disguised fear of actually living.
This idea of a fragmented, maybe soulless world. It brings us to the idiot. For those familiar with your work, Pris Mishkin feels like the polar opposite of the underground man.
Exactly. Where the underground man is hyper-aware, self-involved, destructive, Mishkin is almost painfully innocent, open, pure-hearted.
And the world can't handle it.
It can't comprehend it, let alone tolerate it. If the underground man turns inward and implodes, Mishkin faces outward with trust and compassion and gets crucified for it.
So the question you posed was,
what happens a truly, genuinely good person enters this world? Our world, steeped in selfishness, deceit. The answer, tragically. He gets broken. Not by his own flaws, but because the world can't deal that kind of goodness.
So for ethicists, philosophers,
Yeah.
Michigan is like a test for society.
A litmus test, yes. How does a society treat real innocence? Does it protect it? Or exploit it? Destroy it?
Trying to imagine him today, it's hard to see how he wouldn't just be ridiculed. Or worse, exploited. This reminds me, in The Idiot, you wrote about witnessing an execution, the impact it had. Why was that so foundational for you, for understanding human experience?
That memory, standing there, waiting for the shots, it's not just a story, it's a wound. It never fully healed.
What was the worst part?
Not the fear of dying, strangely. It was the awareness. The agonizing consciousness of those last moments ticking away. Time itself became torture. Each second stretched out, filled with the unbearable knowledge of everything about to be lost.
That hyper-awareness of the end.
Followed by the miracle of reprieve. It burned into me how fragile life is, how precious every single moment is. It shaped how I wrote about the condemned man and the idiot, his understanding of time's cruelty.
For those of us pondering existence, mortality.
Yes, think about it. The psychological torment of knowing your end is fixed, imminent. It strips everything away, forces you to face the raw fact of being alive. How often, really, in your busy world, do you stop and feel the miracle of your own existence, the sheer contingency of it?
That experience clearly gave you a unique view on time, on its ending. Speaking of a terrible end, Nastasia Filipovna, such a tragic figure. For those interested in psychology, relationships, her inability to accept love even though she craves it, it's heartbreaking.
Nastasia. She shows the devastating result of internalizing trauma, doesn't she? The world wounds her so deeply she comes to believe she's worthless, unworthy of love.
So when Mishkin offers genuine compassion,
it's alien to her. It doesn't compute with the abuse, the objectification she knows. So she pushes it away, pulls it closer, pushes it away again. That self-sabotage. It's the tragedy of believing the world's verdict on your own worth.
for people studying trauma,
Her story shows how deep those wounds go, how they shape everything, how hard it is to break free from that internalized shame the world taught her to destroy herself. That's the horror.
and amidst this darkness you offer that phrase, beauty will save the world. It sounds simple, but profound. For those thinking about values, aesthetics, what did you really mean?
Beauty. Not just prettiness, not decoration on a broken reality. No, it's a glimpse of the ideal, of the inherent goodness, the truth that's in humanity, even if it's buried deep.
An act of defiance.
Yes. Defiance against the ugliness, the suffering. Beauty, for me, includes compassion, forgiveness, selflessness, those moments when we rise above our base instincts, touch something sacred.
It reminds us of our potential.
Exactly what we could be, even in the dark. So, for those seeking hope, maybe look for those glimpses. Acts of kindness, real connection, they're what sustain us, maybe. It's not just looking at art, it's engaging with the best parts of the human spirit.
That inherent goodness seems constantly at war with darker impulses, doesn't it? Like the conflict between Mishkin and Rogojin. For those analyzing relationships, why are they locked together like that, so destructively?
Their fight, it's not just over Nastasia's,
Yeah.
she's the focus, but the real battle is deeper. Inside the soul.
For what?
Selfless love versus possessive passion. Compassion versus destructive desire. Mishkin offers acceptance, a chance. Rogojin wants to own her, control her, and destroy what he can't possess.
These seem strangely connected, though.
Like broken twins, perhaps. Two sides of fractured humanity. Both ultimately unable to truly understand or save her. For anyone analyzing love, desire, their story shows the danger of ego, the limits of even pure intentions against deep wounds. Neither extreme wins.
These flawed characters feel so real even now. Do you see echoes of Mishkin's kind of innocence today? For those of us looking for hope in cynical times.
Glimmers, perhaps, small ones, easily missed. You won't find him giving speeches or running things.
Where then?
Look for quiet kindness, people choosing compassion when cynicism is easier, forgiveness instead of bitterness, maybe a nurse showing empathy, a volunteer helping the vulnerable, an artist making something beautiful when the world seems bent on ugliness.
Those are fragments.
Those are the fragments of Mishkin today. That's where hope lies, I think, not in grand plans, but in small, persistent acts of decency. But be warned.
Warned.
A world focused on self-interest, on getting ahead, it struggles to even see that kind of innocence, let alone value it.
That struggle leads us towards crime and punishment. For those interested in morality, justice, Does the book suggest crime can happen without worldly punishment? Or that punishment is inevitable, even if society doesn't see it?
Ah, crime and punishment. Yes, it goes right to the heart of conscience, inner justice. Raskolnikov thinks he can step outside morality, right? Act without consequences.
But he can't.
He discovers the real punishment isn't handcuffs or prison. It's internal. The guilt, the torment, the feeling utterly cut off from everyone, even himself. That's the real prison.
So for those thinking about law versus morality,
Raskolnikov shows that even if you get away with it externally, the soul has its own justice system. Relentless. The crime itself is a wound. It festers, whether anyone knows or not.
Raskolnikov's belief that he's extraordinary, above the rules, and then his breakdown. It's fascinating psychologically. Do you see that type today? People thinking they're above a law.
Oh, that delusion. Believing you're special, exempt from rules. It's timeless, isn't it? Raskolnikov's arrogance, his right to transgress for a higher purpose, you see echoes everywhere.
Where?
People with immense power or wealth who think rules are for little people. Ideologues who justify harming others for some grand theory. The specifics change, but that core arrogance, that dangerous idea of being extraordinary, it persists.
For those analyzing power dynamics.
Think about how that belief undermines any chance of a fair society. It's corrosive.
The psychological cat and mouse between Raskolnikov and Porfiry Petrovich is just masterful.
Yeah.
For those interested in guilt, confession. What makes it so gripping?
Porfiry understands guilt. He knows it's like an internal poison. Eventually, the person needs release, even if it means confessing.
He doesn't just use evidence.
No, his approach is subtle. Psychological pressure. He doesn't try to trap Raskolnikov with facts. He gently pokes at his conscience, creates this unbearable pressure cooker of guilt. It's a study in how, deep down, maybe the criminal wants to be caught, to stop the internal torment.
For psychology buffs.
It shows that powerful, maybe unconscious, drive to acknowledge what you've done wrong.
And then there's Sonia. Such a contrast to Raskolnikov's intellectual turmoil. For those interested in human resilience, what makes her so enduring?
Sonia. She embodies the power of compassion, of faith, even in the absolute worst circumstances. Forced into degradation, yet she holds on to empathy, forgiveness, unconditional love.
She chooses mercy.
Over bitterness, yes. She offers Raskolnikov a way back, not through clever arguments, but through simple human connection, support. Her strength isn't in denying the darkness, it's choosing light despite it.
For people looking for strength in adversity.
Sonia's a testament, isn't she, to the spirit's ability to find grace even in the deepest pit.
The epilogue offers some hope. For those wondering about redemption, what's the significance of Raskolnikov's eventual change?
The epilogue. It's the start of his spiritual rebirth. Siberia isn't just punishment, it's stripping away the arrogance, forcing him to face his basic humanity.
And Sonia's role.
His connection with her. That's the path. Redemption through humility, acknowledging he needs others, embracing the simple power of love, connection. The resurrection isn't going back to who he was. It's a painful, slow emergence into a new understanding.
So, for those thinking about second chances.
His journey, tough as it is, suggests that even after terrible acts, spiritual renewal is possible.
That journey of intellectual rebellion, potential redemption, it continues in the Brothers Karamazov, doesn't it? Especially with Ivan. For those grappling with faith and reason, how is Ivan an evolution of these ideas?
Ivan Karamazov, yes, he takes Raskolnikov's intellectual revolt further. Raskolnikov's crime came from a bad theory. Ivan's rebellion is against everything, faith itself, the moral order.
He doesn't just doubt God exists.
He rejects the world God made, specifically because innocent children suffer. His brilliant arguments against divine justice drag him into this deep moral and psychological chaos.
For philosophical debates on the problem of evil.
Ivan's struggle is a huge, enduring challenge to easy answers about God's goodness. His descent into madness, it's terrifying, shows what can happen with unchecked intellectual pride, rejecting any inherent morality.
The chapter Rebellion, where Ivan tells Alyosha why he rejects God, it's incredibly intense. For anyone struggling with suffering, especially innocent suffering, what's the heart of Ivan's argument?
In Rebellion, Ivan just lays it bare. The clash between his brain and his conscience. He doesn't disprove God, necessarily, but he furiously rejects any divine plan that requires the agony of innocence.
I respectfully return my ticket.
That line says it all. Total rejection. He gives these awful examples of child abuse and asks, can any future peace, any final justification ever make up for this horror, right now.
For those wrestling with the problem of evil.
Ivan's point isn't logic, it's a moral scream against a world where such things happen. His refusal to reconcile faith with that reality. It's still a powerful challenge today, to religion, philosophy, anyone trying to explain it away.
That challenge definitely echoes in current discussions. Moving to another famous part of Karamazov, the Grand Inquisitor. His views on freedom are incredibly relevant for analyzing politics, society today. Can you unpack his idea that people will happily trade freedom for security, for bread?
The Grand Inquisitor. He offers this really stark, cynical view of humanity, doesn't he?
He argues freedom is too much for most people.
Exactly. The burden of choice, responsibility, uncertainty, it's too heavy. People crave security, order, being told what to do, even if it means giving up their autonomy.
And he says they'll be grateful for it.
Grateful. If you feed them, keep them safe, take away the agony of choosing, you can effectively enslave them, and they'll thank you. For anyone analyzing power structures.
It raises uncomfortable questions, doesn't it?
Yeah.
About what people really value, freedom or safety, how power works subtly by meeting those basic needs.
It's a warning, a cautionary tale about how even systems trying to do good can slide into authoritarianism by promising to lift the burden of self-determination.
Which brings us to another disturbing character, Smerdyakov. He seems like this really slimy kind of opportunist. For those studying social dynamics, how ideas get twisted. What's his role?
Smerdyakov shows the danger when big ideas fall into the wrong hands, into the hands of someone without real understanding or morals.
He takes Ivan's ideas.
He grabs into Ivan's philosophies, no God, morality is relative, and uses them to justify his own vile actions, his own crimes. He's like a parasite feeding off the intellectual and spiritual confusion around him.
It's a chilling example
Of how abstract ideas can have brutal, concrete consequences. For anyone analyzing how ideologies spread, how people are motivated, Smerdyakov is a warning about the responsibility that comes with ideas, how even abstract concepts can be weaponized by the resentful, the opportunistic.
And finally, Ivan's conversation with the devil, a really strange, fascinating scene for those interested in psychology, the inner life. What's going on there in that hallucination?
Ivan's devil,
Right.
It's not some grand, terrifying figure, is it? It's a projection of his own broken mind. The devil he imagines is, well, kind of petty, cynical, banal almost. It reflects Ivan's own intellectual despair, the emptiness left after he rejected faith, tradition.
So the temptation isn't dramatic evil.
It's the subtle whisper of doubt, meaninglessness, that eats away at your strength. For anyone studying the mind, this shows how our own thoughts, our doubts, can become our worst enemies. It suggests that a purely rational view with no spiritual or moral anchor can lead to this profound, self-destroying nihilism.
This has been incredibly rich, just fascinating. Before we wrap up, for everyone listening who really connects with literature, could you share which of your own books means the most to you, and maybe a single quote that gets to the heart of your writing?
If I must choose one, perhaps The Brothers Karamazov. It's flawed, maybe, imperfect, but it tries to hold everything, the whole range of the human soul.
Faith, doubt.
Love, hate, destruction, redemption, all of it. And a quote, something central, maybe this, from Father Zosima. Each of us is guilty before everyone, for everyone, and everything.
Guilty for everything.
Not in a shallow way, not performative guilt. It's about realizing how deeply interconnected we all are, our shared responsibility. For the suffering, yes, but also for the beauty in the world.
It's a call for understanding.
It's a starting point, maybe. Understanding, maybe even redemption, starts when we acknowledge that shared humanity, our collective part in it all.
Those are profound words to end on. For those of you listening who value how literature and philosophy can light up the human condition, we really hope this exploration offered some fresh takes on Dostoevsky's enduring power.
Indeed. And for you, personally, listening, wrestling with your own existence. Maybe the takeaway is, don't fear the struggle, look for meaning in it. Don't settle for easy answers, embrace the hard questions. And remember, even in the darkest places, the human spirit, flawed, yes, absolutely flawed, holds the potential for both terrible darkness and sometimes unexpected light. That's something worth holding on to, isn't it? Farewell.